Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's time for some more Mini-Z content. We just had a local club race last night. Lots of fun. We had a great crowd. It's a good bunch of guys. The track was interesting. It was challenging with some very, very tight sections, but also had some pretty quick sweeping stuff. So a mixture of two styles of tracks, and it was a lot of fun. Just a review, I was racing my MR03 in the expert stock, so it's got a few modifications. First off, I run the McLaren 12C GT3 body, and it's got a few small little things. I run the green front springs, I run the oil-filled center shock, and I also run the ball diff, and that's all within the regulations of the class that I run in, and I'm also still running the stock motor. I also ran my new to me Atomic MRX, which I built over Christmas. I'm running the Hobby Wing 3500 kV motor with the Quick Run Mini 28 speed controller. So far everything's running nicely, and I'm running a PN Racing 2S LiPo battery. Since I've built it, I've been struggling a little bit with the setup as it pertains to rear grip. You'll recall from a previous video, the first time I raced it, I was having a lot of oversteer issues and instability issues. So I've done some experimenting with the preload on the side dampers and also with the ride height using the center spring. But I also, with a major change, elected to go with the 14 millimeter wide rear tires. And at home on my little RCP Y track, the difference was noticeable with much improved rear grip. But at the beginning of last night, I was still encountering a lot of mid-corner snap oversteer. So I could carry some speed into the corner, and then about halfway through, the car would just, snap oversteer, and it was very frustrating. So I just, I started playing with a few other things, namely the rear droop, because intuitively, if I can increase the rear droop, then that means the rear tires stay in contact longer when the weight is transferred forward under braking or when you're coasting into a corner. So when I was adjusting the rear droop using the settings on the center damper, which is how you do it on an MRX, I was still encountering the problem. And upon closer inspection, what was happening is, I'm not really sure what this is called, but it's like the guide bearing or the carrier bearing or whatever you want to call this, which acts kind of as a stability piece that pokes through the bottom of this chassis when the suspension is, fully drooped. It was actually catching on the cutout of the chassis. So it would catch a little bit, and then it would kind of break free as the load increased into the corner, and that's what was causing this kind of sudden change in handling through the corner and causing that oversteer. So what I did is I just took a little bit of Gravity Racing bearing oil, and I put a dab just on there before the final race, and the car completely changed. No more oversteer. It was handling exactly the way I like it. So a mild push through the corners, and then you kind of manage the rotation of the car with throttle off coasting or even a little bit of braking. But the oversteer was completely gone. So I was really, really happy by the end of the night. It was driving really, really nicely, and I was having a lot of fun in the modified category or class driving this car. So I think I've overcome some of the handling issues here, and now it's just a matter of fine-tuning the settings depending on the nature of the track, both with the car and, dual rate settings and expo and all that kind of stuff in the radio. But I think I finally have solved this problem. So I'm not sure if it's a design flaw, because the tolerances are so tight in the rear there that, the clearance between this bearing and the cutout in the chassis is so close that it's causing this issue. Or, as, part of my pre-race routine, I'll just, again, drop a dab of that bearing oil in there and make sure it's nice and free to make sure that I don't encounter those problems again. So problem solved. That was the big update from last night, is I finally have a grip on this car, and it's finally predictable and very fun to drive. So looking forward to future races with both cars, and I'll be sure to get race footage as I promised in the previous video, So if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.